What's up, Internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like this video, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, you never miss a stream. Today is Saturday, August 6th. It's day 32 inside the Big Brother house. It was nominations day, and we also had a lot that kind of happened in the house as far as gameplay, future planning for not just this week, but later on down the road, and also a pretty big update on Muffin Gate. But you know what? I'm going to save that for the very end of the video because it's always nice to end things on a fun, positive note, especially with what we're about to start with here. Let's talk about maybe the most controversial thing that came out of yesterday's live feeds, and that was Kyle's pitch to Michael. If anybody didn't see yesterday's update or hasn't been following along, last night after Michael won HOH and got his room, Kyle had a meeting with him where he discussed what he said is his biggest fear right now. And that is for a new 6-person alliance group to be forming in the house to take out another group inside the house. Specifically, he's talking about Monte, Joseph, and Taylor joining up with Jasmine, Terrance, and Indy to form basically a new version of the Cookout, but kind of just with people from diverse backgrounds and let's be blunt here, non-white American-born people, and taking them out of the house. And first off, it's a bad read. Jasmine and Indy will never work with Taylor. They hate her. Taylor will never want to work with them. Period. Right? So it's just straight off the bat a bad read. Taylor also, while she's close with Monte and Joseph, she appreciates everything they've done so far and she enjoys hanging out with them. She 100% is ready to make a move against them when it needs to. She knows in order to win this game, they are the biggest threats in their alliance, and she's down to make that move. And also, Monte and Joseph are extremely loyal to the leftovers. And we'll actually talk about how they proved that last night in front of Kyle, and he still, for some reason, is having doubts about it. Also, I want to make it very clear. There's nothing wrong with making a game move, right? In fact, he should be worried about how Monte and Joseph especially are making bonds outside of the leftovers with people like Indy and Jasmine. For example, next week, if there's no besties and Indy and Jasmine win HOH, they're probably not going to go after Monte and Joseph. They would probably go after maybe a Kyle, right, to try and get Alyssa back on their side. They might go after a Michael or a Brittany, but it's got nothing to do with anything about who they are, where they come from, what their backgrounds are. It's just because Monte and Joseph have done a good job of building those bonds with them, which Kyle hasn't. Meanwhile, on the flip side, this feels like Kyle's projecting a lot of not only his insecurities, his biases, he's also projecting his own actions onto Monte and Joseph. In the leftovers, there's only one person who's really gone and put more value on somebody outside of the alliance than the alliance itself, and that's Kyle with Alyssa. So I feel like he's projecting a lot of this onto them unfairly. And listen, am I ready to cancel the guy? Do I think he's a terrible person? No. What I think is really happening in here is a lot of maybe his, again, biases that he's not even really maybe aware of that are coming out of him due to paranoia and also fear of not wanting to go on the block. Obviously, with Daniel being the backdoor nominee, the backdoor target this week, who would have to go up with him? It would be Kyle. So he's worried about something happening with him going up on the block and for some reason him going home. So he's using all of this to try and protect himself. And instead of coming at it in a very logical way where he could have just went to Michael and said, hey, I'm worried about Monte and Joseph and maybe even Taylor making those strong bonds outside of the house, outside of the alliance, and they're big threats. There's nothing wrong with that. But to frame it as, well, they're all diverse and they're all going to come together and they're going to take us out, it just does not sit right with me. I feel the same way whenever I hear, someone come into the house and it's week 1 and they go, there's a girls' alliance. We got to get all the girls out. And on the same thing, if one of the guys are like, we got to get all these girls out, they're going to band together every year, there's always a girls' alliance. Historically, that's always been proven that if you're the one who's most vocal about, hey, there's a girls' alliance that we got to get out, you know what ends up probably usually happening? Eventually, you're going to be the one that goes, hey, you know what? This is the one who's like stirring all that stuff up. Why don't we get him out? And on the flip side, if a girl goes, yeah, we got to get all those guys out because they're doing this, who's the one who ends up going home? She does. So not only is this a bad read, I feel like it's a bad game move to frame it this way. It just doesn't feel like it's a good strategy for Kyle to go with, especially because all it's really done is make Michael kind of realize, all right, you know what? He has a point. I've already been kind of thinking about how Monte and Joseph are threats. But I think he realizes just as well, Kyle is a threat with his bond with Alyssa. So I feel like really what Kyle's done here is just putting more of a spotlight onto himself and giving Michael a reason to worry about him being loyal to the leftovers. Again, I want to make it very clear. There's nothing wrong with making a game move like this. But the way he's gone about it and the way he's framed it just really doesn't sit right with me. And in fact, to give you an idea of how bad of a read this is, after his meeting, right, the leftovers got together. I think Joseph wasn't with them, but it was pretty much the rest of the group. And Monte comes out, he's like, yeah, did you know Jasmine and Indy came to me trying to pitch an alliance with me and Joseph and Terrance? So how could that not be more clear? If they were forming an alliance, why would he tell you? What do you think? It's some crazy double bluff that he's trying to pull? Why would he ever even put that out there that they came to him to try and form an alliance? If that's not him showing his loyalty to you, I don't really know what else would really prove that to him. But alas, that is where things went with that. I don't believe Michael is following along with that thought process, but he does agree. Monte and Joseph are threats, and they are something that he has to be worried about. He did have conversations with Brittany later, and in fact, last night, Michael and Brittany were going to have a conversation about what Nicole told Michael in the storage room the night before. Taylor had walked in, but they weren't able to finish the conversation. We did see them having that conversation today, and they both came to the conclusion that the whole theory that Nicole had with Monte, Taylor, and Jasmine having some kind of fraternity, sorority thing, it really wasn't really anything. But they do agree that, yeah, like, they're threats, and we have to be worried about that. When is the right move? Is now the right move? Michael also had a good cam talk. It was kind of fun because we haven't really had this opportunity like we have in other seasons where the HOH is kind of up alone in their room talking to the camera. But Michael's taken full advantage of having the room to himself to kind of express his thoughts. He kind of ran through the house of like who he likes, who he doesn't, and who he thinks are, you know, threats at the time being, and what he would want to accomplish with his HOH. And one of the things he said, he was like, look, Monte, if for some reason things go wrong and Monte happened to go home, he wouldn't be too upset. He wouldn't be like devastated. And again, he has a point. Monte is a strong target. But you see how he doesn't frame it in this idea where, oh, he's forming a cookout alliance, he's doing this. He just knows, yeah, Monte's a threat. Everybody likes him. He's very good at I don't want to say he's very good at competition. He hasn't really proven he's good at competitions, but he's a strong guy that you would assume would be pretty good in some of the competitions that are going to be coming up later in the season. So it does make sense where it's like, hey, if you have the chance, if something happens to go wrong with the veto, it might be a good idea to go after Monte. Kyle did today also kind of come around to Michael. He's like, am I overthinking this? Is this a little bit, you know, like, am I crazy? And Michael kind of was like, pushing him. He's like, listen, is it a thing? Maybe, but right now, why would they even tell us about that alliance? right? Like, it just doesn't really add up. So he's trying to push him down a little bit, but he is also understanding the idea. It's like, yeah, this could be a thing going forward that we might need to take care of. We had Michael making his, pre-nomination ceremony meetings. Not a lot really happened. It was pretty much set in stone. He was asking everybody, like, would you be a pawn? Would you be okay being a pawn? Blah, 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 blah. But in the end, we kind of had an idea. It was going to be Joseph, Monte, and Terrance, who did go up on the block. And that's what happened. He nominated them. And the plan still right now is to go after Daniel and Kyle. But depending on what happens with the veto, if Kyle and Daniel somehow win, there might be a chance just to keep it the same and let Monte be a target, right? Why get rid of Terrance right now when you could maybe get rid of Monte? There also is the idea, too, of possibly putting Indy, Alyssa, and Taylor up, but not to go after Taylor, but actually to get Alyssa out. So there's a lot of conversation about who they would want in the jury, who they would want to go home first. So things are still in a flux, but definitely right now the plan is still win the veto, use it, get Daniel and Kyle up, send Daniel home. Until the veto, we're not 100% sure where that could go. There's a lot of different scenarios that could happen. So we'll have to keep an eye on that after the veto competition. They did add a new 3-seat couch for the nominees, and I wonder if they will like refilm the nomination ceremony with the new couch, or if there will be like a weird, like funny moment where Michael nominates the trio and one of them's like, well, where do I sit? So they have like a new little 3-person couch to sit in. There was also some funny stuff where some of the house guests would sit in it, and then they asked like Indy, like, hey, why don't you come try the new couch? He's like, oh, no. No. I am not sitting that couch. That's a bad omen. I'm not doing that. So that was pretty cool. Michael Taylor and Brittany had a really good strategy talk as well. And that was again where they kind of were going, Monte and Joseph, they might have to move up that list. We have to be careful. Is now the right time to take a shot? Is it later? Do we let them take the shot first? Like, what if they win HOH next week and they come after us? But again, what's nice about this is Taylor is included in that. The idea that Kyle would throw Taylor into that other group really doesn't make a lot of sense at all. Like, at all. Terrance doesn't even really like Taylor. So that's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's still to me, like, not only is it a bad read, it's like, Kyle, why would you even think that group is a possibility? We'll see. It's been great though with this season that it keeps finding a way to stay interesting and entertaining. While this should be a pretty straightforward week, there's a lot that could happen depending on what happens with the veto and who is on the block at the end of this week come Thursday. Other than that, that pretty much sums up what happened as far as the game-wise stuff. No concrete flips or anything like that are happening. But the seeds are being planted for the post-leftovers era. Now, let's get into Muffin Gate, because there's some interesting things that happened. First off, last night, we did talk a little bit about how they set up a note. Well, Jasmine set up a note with the Muffin, and she kind of laying a trap, trying to catch who did it. Everyone was messing with her. Alyssa went over and kind of took a lime and put that in the baggie. She like took a cookie and like took a bite and put it in there. This bag of muffins now has cookies. It's got limes. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. Turner took it, filled it up with some water, and like put it in the freezer at one point. I don't know if it stayed in the freezer or not, but it's definitely been the great muffin war of BB24. And today, a new muffin showed up on the table, and it had another note. This one, though, said, it's a BB miracle, don't be cheap. Jasmine did not write this note. I actually don't know who put the note out there, to be honest with you. I don't know who put it out there, but I assume maybe it was like Turner or one of the other house guys just messing with Jasmine. What did end up happening, though, is Jasmine's pretty sure Turner did it, but she's not 100% sure. And they'd had a little confrontation in the kitchen. So she was like, now, you need to fess up, festy bestie. Which, to be fair, is a pretty good line. And for the most part, it was very, jovial, fun, having fun with it. She was like, what if I was Megan, Taylor's girlfriend? What if someone was doing this? Turner turns around and he's like, well, what if I was your husband, huh? What if? So it was kind of fun to see them go back and forth. Here's the problem, though. Jasmine isn't having a lot of fun with this. She's actually really mad about it. She's very angry. Like, behind closed doors, when she's talking to Indy, when she's talking to even Alyssa, which Alyssa she's a little iffy on because Alyssa was kind of part of it as well, and she knows this. She's pissed. Like, but she keeps saying it's not about the muffin. It's definitely about the muffin. But she's like, it's a respect thing to just kind of take something that I was looking forward to. And he had all of his nasty hands all over it, and he hasn't showered in a week. Well, hold on a second. Who also hasn't showered all week and only just showered right before she was going to eat the muffin? Oh, that's right. It was Jasmine. Oh, so who's the stinky one? I think we all know. And here's the other thing. The way Jasmine is freaking out over half of a muffin is very interesting when you compare it to a situation that happened last week. Turner was HOH the week prior to Monte. And when you're HOH, you get a nice basket of all these snacks and food and all this great stuff, right? And Turner happens to be vegetarian, so he doesn't eat everything that kind of everybody else does. He likes to eat a lot of veggies and dips and hummus and queso and things of that nature, right? I don't think he's vegan, but he's vegetarian, so he doesn't eat everything that everyone else does. And he had some stuff that was left over, and he put it in the fridge to kind of save it, because guess what? He was a have-not right afterwards this week, so he couldn't actually eat that food. So he put it in the fridge to save it. Indy decided to have a funeral for her silly onion that she called Crybaby, and for her funeral, she was like, oh, let me take all this food that's in the fridge and make a big feast for everyone. So she just took all of Turner's stuff, all the dips and the vegetables and all this stuff, and fed it to everyone without asking. Turner's food. Did Turner go, oh, who took my food? Why did you do that? Who did? He's like, nah, look, it was my stuff, but it's not a big deal. It's whatever. He was very chill about it. Meanwhile, there's a half of a freaking muffin missing, and Jasmine is ready to interrogate the whole house. It's very wild to see the two different reactions to a very similar situation, and in fact, one that I think is much worse than the other. But that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little update. You enjoyed the check-in on Muffingate. What do you guys think of what's going on in the house right now? Let me know in those comments down below. Would you like to see Daniel be the target and go home this week? Or would you be interested in maybe something else happening? Maybe in Alyssa being sent home? Would you also be interested in seeing the leftovers finally taking shots at each other? Let me know in those comments down below. Thank you guys again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video and you'll never miss a stream. My name's been Ori, and I will see you next time.